Hi everyone, it's great to see you. I am out here on the deck with 11 adorable tiny little conifers, and aren't they all cute lined up here? I was talking to my mom explaining what we will be videotaping this week, and she said, well, you have a lot of little conifers now, like where are they all? And they've been in their pots and they've just been in the garden. Now, to tell you the truth, they sort of blend in. When there's a lot of flowers out there, you notice the colorful pink and purple flowers, and these guys are kind of just tucked in. The black pots and grow bags sort of help them blend. So they've been in other videos, just camouflaged. So now this is their time to shine, because all the flowers have now, they're past, they've been pulled out. We need to put these conifers into the spotlight. So I am going to be, for the first time, using our conifers in the bag, in the pot planting method that I like to use so much. So I started out earlier this season planting these 3 conifers in the ground. They started to struggle because the soil was not draining enough. Your conifers, they like to, they don't want to be starved of their water, but they like to almost dry down in between watering, and they want that really, really good drainage. So I dug these 3 out of the garden. They were, the needles were turning brown. It was not looking too hopeful for them. And I planted them in these 1-gallon grow bags. And the grow bags for me, I use them for hydrangeas all the time. They really seem to work well for me in allowing that water to drain out quickly. And I notice them, so I check on them more frequently too. And sure enough, these 3 came back beautifully. I am so happy with that. This is the Thunderhead Japanese black pine. This is Jacobson, a dwarf mountain pine. And unfortunately, this one lost its name tag. So I have to look up and see if I can figure out what type of conifer that is. But at least it looks healthy now. So these conifers here, you'll notice, are in the original nursery pots that they were shipped in. I wanted to make sure I really liked these grow bags before I started to shift things into them. But now I feel confident that I'm ready to do that. One of the interesting things is these are 1-gallon nursery pots. These are 1-gallon grow bags. This is a very generous 1-gallon grow bag. So I was looking at these. When we do the bag in the pot method, you need a socket pot to put the bag into. So first I ordered 1-gallon nursery pots, but you can see, here's our grow bag. I should be able to lower it right into that. No, that is not going to work. So when I do my hydrangeas, I do a 5-gallon grow bag and I lower it into a 5-gallon nursery pot, no problem. But I found that that is not going to work. I love these grow bags. These are like sturdy. I'll link them below. They have a great handle on here. The black blends in with the garden well. So I want to keep going with these grow bags. I then went and purchased some 2-gallon nursery pots, and these seem like they're going to work so well. So take a look here. I can just lower this right in. I have to give it a little extra push there, but that's going to be just fine. And then this will nestle into yet another pot. So through the winter, it can live in here, and then come spring, probably with the aid of somebody else to lift them out, because it's going to be pretty close here, pretty tight, but that's okay. I can take them out and put them somewhere else in the garden, nice and camouflaged, where they just are one of the background green pieces. All of these conifers are dwarf conifers. So I think the tallest, well, other than the Thunderhead Japanese black pine, that might get up to like 4 to 6 feet. But most of these are going to be 2 to 3 feet, even after 10 years. So they're staying very tiny and very manageable for me to move. I mean, that's kind of important. I find now as I'm getting older too, like I realize I don't think the rest of my life I'm going to be wanting to lift really, really heavy plants. So knowing that these stay small gives me the opportunity in the future to still feel comfortable moving them all around. I think the smallest one I have is Blue Pearl here, which is a miniature Colorado blue spruce, and this one is on a standard. So it's going to have that 1 foot stalk here, and then the top only gets to be 1.5 feet. So it's gonna be this tiny little globe on top. I just love that. We have, let's see, we have Tiny Curls here, Ruby Teardrops, a dwarf blue spruce. This is the Biltmore Blue White Pine. Boy, that is looking really, really good. Sea Urchin is doing well. I haven't killed this one. Very proud of myself. Green Penguin. Now, I got Green Penguin because the one I had in the ground, I had overwatered. It wasn't looking great. I thought I need another one just in case. The one in the ground is looking great too. So now I have one that I can do in a planter and one that I can do in the ground, which will be fabulous. And this probably is going to be one of my larger conifers here too. It gets to be about 2 feet wide, 4 feet tall, but you know, we're talking 10 years, so I have a little while before I have to worry about this. Then here are my 2 green elf Japanese black pines. They're just so cute too. So let's talk about what I'm going to do with all of these conifers. I'm going to begin with 3 that are going to be in the bags, in a pot in the front. And these 3 are going to be in planters, larger planters that don't get a lot of protection. So I know they're going to get a lot of winter wind. And you know, we're zone 6B, 7A. You need to make sure that your conifers, just like with our hydrangeas usually, and other things you put in pots, they really have to be safe to grow in 2 zones colder than where you are. So say, okay, we'll be conservative, I'm 6B, then they need to be hardy down to zone 4. And I know that we're gonna have some cold air, it's not up against the house to really protect them. So I started adding to my little signs the zones that they are hardy to, because conifers are new for me. One of the reasons I love putting the names on them is every time I walk by I go, oh yeah, that's Tiny Curls, until I get it really ingrained in my brain. So until I really get ingrained what zones they are, I'm adding that to this. So Tiny Curls is growable in zones 3 to 8. So, I only have to go down to zone 4 for my planters. So anything that says 3 or 4 here is going to be perfect for the bag in the pot method. Then I looked at it and I thought, okay, so long term up front, I want to use my 3 globe obelisks in these 2. So I'm thinking I can't have something too tall. Like I think Blue Pearl here probably isn't the choice for this. And I want it big enough though to show up. So I'm thinking that Biltmore Blue here might be a good choice. It could stick out the sides a little bit and we'd still really see it. And I'm thinking maybe Tiny Curls. That's hardy down to zone 3. So this one is down to zone 3. Tiny Curls is down to zone 3, and maybe either our Green Penguin or our Sea Urchin, because those are down to zone 3 also, and seem to have a pretty good start going here. Now, I love Jacobson, but it's hardy down to zone 5. So, okay, so we're zone 6B, 7A. Zone 5 probably is still gonna be okay in a planter, but when I see that, I think, I'm gonna put it in a planter that has a little protection closer to the house, just to give it that added chance to get through. So love it, but it's not going to be a choice for this. Same with our pines. I think that they're gorgeous. They're hardy down to zone 5. They're going to be fine, but they're going to be put in planters that are a little bit protected in and of themselves. So let's see here. Then I'm going to look at the color. So it sort of is, we have bright deep greens here. This is a nice bright green. These 3 are bright greens, and then I have some of these blue greens. So I'm going to have these 3 pots lined up. I know I want Biltmore Blue. That's one of our bluish ones. I know I want Tiny Curls. So do I want to go with another blue or a green? I think I'm going to do all of them in this nice blue color for this area. So here are my selected 3. We're going to bring these to the front, and I'm going to show you exactly how I'm going to plant them up using the bag and the pot for our conifers. So I am up front now, and these are the 3 gray planters that we are going to use as the large pot for the bag and the pot So I have taken these gray planters and I've emptied them of the annuals that had really started to look past. But you'll notice, although I cut it back, I still have this creeping Jenny here. The creeping Jenny will probably make it through until next year. So I'm going to carefully just remove that. I can either plant this in the rim gap after I'm done, if I feel like there's space, or I might put it in another planter to live the winter outside, but I don't want to just throw it away, because to me this is saving money for next year. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now, isn't it amazing how the dirt level in the pots goes down through the year? I do not know how this happens. It's like the dirt magically gets sucked up by the annuals. I want this to have a pretty high level to it, but I need to have a space in the center for my pot. So I am just going to start reaching in and pulling out dirt. Now I just have to make you notice here that I put down a plastic tablecloth here. I am feeling very proud of myself for trying not to make a mess. Dan is smiling behind the camera, because we know it's going to end up a mess anyway. That is just how I garden. Okay, this is pretty rooty, but I think that's going to be okay because we're putting that pot in here. So what the dirt is like around the outside is less important. Okay, so you can see that I have a pretty big hole there, but I'm not sure how big I really need to make it. So let's take one of these. Oh, I want this to be even with the edge. So we're almost there, but not quite. So I'm going to take out a little bit more. Here we go. Okay, I think we're almost there. Let's take a look. Okay. Oh yeah, look at that. It just slides right in. So here is the pot with a pot, and then we're going to have the bag that just lowers right in the middle. And if you're doing this like I am and planting it up now, you can sort of push the bag in here before you add whatever you're planting in it, and that makes it a lot easier. I feel like we're not quite even. Okay, that looks good. Now, in the spring when I do these, I have my focal center and I put beautiful annuals around the end, around the rim gap here. I would love to do that through the summer, but we don't have annuals in bloom right now. So I'm going to have this edge. I'm going to be adding the obelisk here, and I'm thinking I will either add some Christmas greenery or maybe a garland, something to sort of cover that dirt up. But if I do that, I need this dirt to come up higher. So I'm going to take some of the dirt that I pulled from the inside and add that to the rim gap area here, and then really pack it down. It's kind of important that I'm doing this now because it'll only be a couple weeks until the dirt starts to freeze. And we know it takes a while for the ground to freeze, but of course the dirt in planters is going to be, you know, freezing sooner than what's in the ground because this is really exposed around the outside. Okay, so I'm not going to go quite to the top of our socket pot here, but I'm going to get it pretty close. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Let me show you how this looks. Okay, so we have a couple inches here, but basically we are pretty good. Now notice the bag is sticking up a little bit. That often happens. You have a choice. You could fold it back and bring it right to the level of your socket pot. That would be fine. I'm going to leave it like this because it's easier to pull up, and I know I'll be putting something around here. It will hide that and nobody's even going to know. You'll be fine. Now let's talk about our beautiful little conifers here. Biltmore Blue, and all of the conifers that are sent from Mr.Maple are sent in a planting medium that has a lot of wood chips so that that water drains really quickly. This is a bigger container. You want to pretty much try to keep them about the same size. Maybe this is a little bigger, but it's not much bigger. I want to keep that planting medium very similar. So what I'm going to do is I have leftover wood chips. So these are leftover from when we spread them in the spring. It's always good to try to pull out a bucket or so of them. You never know where you might need to top dress with a little bit of wood chips or something, you know, mulch. So for me, this is going to be perfect. I am going to put some of them in the bottom here. Let's see how deep it's, yeah, see this is pretty deep compared to the pot it's in. Uh-oh, and now the pot wants to stay there. Oh boy, there we go. So I'll just keep adding this so that at the bottom we have some mulch that water will just drain out of. You don't want to go and put this in a 5-gallon planter because then the plant roots, you know, they're not that big, this poor little guy. Then you have to sort of water the whole 5-gallon part and it might not reach the part that's wet. It just gets to be very complex. I would say don't do it. So bottom part I filled up with the mulch. Now I'm going to add a little bit of the potting soil and a little bit of the mulch, about 50-50 for anything that I need to add in. So here we go. We're going to carefully take them out. Look at how that just comes apart because it's a lot of mulch in with the potting soil. I want the top to stay the top. So I'm just going to fill in around the edge and I'm going to do, oh, here's some nice mulch and then, okay, here's a nice handful of potting medium. And I'm just using a regular potting mix. This is what I took out of this planter, and that's fine. I also have my very last bag over here, and we'll put a little mulch in there. Now notice I'm kind of rounding this up too. When you do that, it also allows for good drainage. We don't want to cover the graft or where it's flaring. This root flare is what they call it, and it actually flares at the bottom. You don't want to cover it. That's what your trees don't like when the town comes around and mulches them too high. Oh, that is looking really, really good. I like that. So take a look. Now, I know you're going, it's not super spectacular yet, but it's going to be when I get done with this. Let's get the others planted up just like it. I do think this wonderful tablecloth from Job Lot is working very well. Okay, oh, that's a very nice clump of creeping Jenny here. Fascinated to see how well the creeping Jenny will come back next year, if I luck out at all. Talking to the people at our local nursery, they said that what they're seeing is usually the creeping Jenny does come back, but it will die all the way to the ground. Whereas some people can have the creeping Jenny be an evergreen. Here, all the top leafy part will probably die off, but that's okay as long as the roots make it. We know creeping Jenny puts a lot of growth on each year. Okay, we're almost down to the bottom. Now that I have, or will have, the socket pots in here, I will keep them as socket pots for next year. It'll just make it easier. I'll put a grow bag in with, oh, look at that. Okay, so I'm nice and even. I like how that looks. Now we're going to pack it in carefully around the edge. When you're doing your outside pots like this, you want to make sure if you're doing anything for the holidays, sticking greens in here, or just for winter in general, that you have things stuck in the dirt before it freezes, because they will freeze in place. And that is going to be an important piece. If you wait too long, your dirt will be hard as a rock and you won't be able to add anything in like that. So that's an important thing to remember. And I say that as a reminder to myself, because I did have one year that I was running so far behind, and then sure enough, I went and tried to add something and it was too late. It was not going to happen. I have heard of people taking hot boiling water, and you can dump that in there to loosen up the soil if you're like me and you forget too late. I didn't go to that extreme, but you could give that a try. The only problem with that is if you have like creeping Jenny growing that you've left in there that would not like to have the boiling water dumped on its roots. Okay, take a look at about how high I have here, a couple inches still left. And of course, I'm making these pots completely messy at the moment, but you can wash that all off later. So don't worry about that. A little bit of a mess doesn't hurt. Okay, let's take our 1 gallon, that is a very generous 1 gallon grow bag. We are going to add the wood chips to the bottom, or mulch, not really wood chips. I use an all-natural hemlock mulch, and I've had a lot of really good luck with that. A pine mulch works great here. Oh yeah, look at that. Perfect. Okay, let's do sea urchin here, our white pine. That is a zone 3 to 8. Okay, here we go, very carefully. Oh, nice. He's looking so happy. Look at these. Now, sea urchin grows just like a sea urchin. Of course, do I really know how a sea urchin grows? No, but a globe shape. For my vast experience with sea urchin, round, definitely round. Okay, let's add in a little bit of the potting mix. And I'm brushing it off the top because I want to keep that crown just like it is, because it's happy now. Mr. Maple sends them to you happy, so you want to keep them that way. Okay, now I'm putting some more mulch in. This is great. I can't believe I hadn't used this mulch up. This is so perfect for this. Okay, and I'm going to, it's set down a little bit, that is fine. I have it set exactly to where it arrived. So that's good. Let's turn him. Yep, he looks nice and straight. When you are repotting something up like this is your time to, if it's looking a little wonky and off center, you just straighten it up. Nobody will ever know. Okay, there's number 2. Let's put sea urchin's name tag in here. Okay, almost forgot Biltmore Blue's name tag. And this way, throughout the whole winter, every time I walk by, I'll go Biltmore Blue, sea urchin. I will know the name of these by next spring. Okay, oh, here's the last one. Oh. You're going to be seeing a lot of planters coming up because you saw that I had those 11 conifers. Oh, we are going to make them all look adorable. Very excited about this. Usually I get to winter and I don't have as much to look forward to, so I'm really glad that I've been collecting these little conifers throughout the year. And I've learned a lot. And like all gardeners, learning a lot means had a few that we've lost, but overall, I'd say not too bad. And Mr.Maple is really, really helpful. You can email them anytime, and they've been great with giving advice, helping, if there's any questions you have. They are very responsive. I think they've responded like within the 24 hours every time I've emailed. Okay, and this is just so cute. Tiny curls. It's a dwarf curly white pine. I just love it. Looks like it had a perm. It has a fancy hairstyle here, and that to me just gives it so much personality. I like plants with personality and cute names. You can get me on a cute name for tons of plants, and I think that the Japanese maples, the daylilies, the hydrangea, the plants that I really tend to want to collect, they just have these really unique names. I'm putting some of this mulch in the bottom of my bag here again, just to bring up the level and to keep it raised up high enough. Okay, let's lower that in. There we go. That looks pretty good. And now I'm going to fill in all around this rim gap. Now these are the planters that I got this year. I believe they're Crescent planters, Crescent Designs, Crescent Park, Crescent something from Amazon. And I really have to say I like them. Because they're resin, they're nice and light, which has worked out well. I think these are the 16 or 18 inch. I'll link them below for you too. And you can get them in the terracotta color. This is the, stone or whatever their gray color is. But I like it. It just sort of blends very nicely. And it's a good size. It's not so huge that it's overwhelming to plant them up, but they are a nice little accent. There we go. So I am packing this down a little bit because I want the socket pot to stay in place. And if I don't give it a little press to get those air bubbles out, then this inside socket pot is going to be kind of loose, and we don't want that. Now notice that these really are out here. We're going to get wind coming this way. So that's why I'm really glad that these conifers that I chose are all hardy down to zone 3, because I know that it's going to be chilly. This extra rim gap of dirt will give it some extra insulation. So that's good, but we want to make sure it really lasts and does well. Okay, let's get our little baby out here. This is our tiny curls. Okay, tiny curls, here we go. I always just dump any extra in there too. Oh, perfect. And you're going to keep the root flare showing at the top. There we go. Add a little dirt in the sides. Add a little mulch so we keep it draining really well. Looks like a little mop of hair. There we go. Oh, this looks so cute. I love it. So once again, mounding up a little bit so it has that drainage. Let's add our name. And there is Tiny Curls looking so cute. Okay, now I have to try and just see how the obelisk is going to look. Well, I like both of them. I think maybe the larger size. I don't know. What was that? Well, they won't grow much in the winter. So we don't have to worry too much about them growing in the winter. And then in the spring, I'm going to be taking these out. But I sort of like the larger. What I'm thinking is I used some of these are the plastic Christmas balls. I found some more at Target. Actually, Mom did and picked them up for me. Thank you, Mom. Moms are wonderful. And I'm thinking that this will hide the base. Let's see how it could potentially look. So something where they're just tucked up in here. Well, you get the idea. Let me see. Oh yeah, and add that bright pop of red color. Well, we'll just have to come back and finish decorating for the holidays in another video, but at least for now, hold it, let me get my garland out. At least for now, they are looking good. I'm thinking maybe some little twinkle fairy lights on these too. Oh, we are gonna have fun. But thank you so much for starting this project with me. I think that it's going to be fabulous and I can't wait to keep sharing all the fun things that we're gonna be doing up here. Thanks so much for joining me and I'll see you in the next video.